Brexit has divided UK lawmakers, and now it's caused a rift in the Prime Minister's own family. Boris Johnson's brother, Joe, has resigned as junior minister and said he would step down as an MP. He says it's a conflict between family loyalty and the national interest. Boris Johnson's office released a short statement on his brother's departure, thanking him for his service and saying the Prime Minister understands this would not have been an easy matter for Joe. With more on what is going on with Brexit, I am joined by Yves Tiberghien. He is a professor of political science at the University of British Columbia. Good morning. Glad you could be with us.
Good morning, Marcia.
Those who are Remainers are watching this, and we see even in Boris Johnson's family this tear between what is going on with the country and what is going on within their own family. What do you make of Joe Johnson's departure?
Well, this is a tough day, right? It's a signal of how tough the battle is and how we are getting to the end game. First for Boris Johnson to appoint his brother as Minister for Business back in the summer was a sign that he still was trying to keep a few Remainers on board. But this is the end of that, right? We are getting now to a very, very intense battle. And Boris Johnson is really going only with Brexiters now. All Remainers have been kicked out of the cabinet and of the party.
It hasn't been a good 24 hours for Boris Johnson. What is your assessment of all of his losses?
Well, so far those are tactical losses. Everything is gearing up toward the bigger battle, which will be, will there be an election and then the election battle? Yes, he doesn't have majority in parliament now, and it's even smaller because he lost 21 people that he fired. So his majority is shrunk by that many. And so he doesn't control the agenda. But what he's hoping for is to get the election called next week. And then there will be this mighty battle in the election between Brexiteers on one side and then a more divided opposition actually on the other side, which can help Boris Johnson.
It could help Boris Johnson. So is that why Boris Johnson desperately wants this election?
Yeah, right now, he has lost control of Parliament. There's nothing he can go through Parliament at this moment. And Parliament is passing a law which will be probably finished on Monday. The Lords were finished on Friday, and then Monday back to the Commons and royal assent. And so he can't do anything with this Parliament. He can't get his Brexit with the Parliament. So he needs to move on to an election. Now, to get the election, he needs a 2/3 majority vote in the Commons, and so Labour has to approve it. And so that's why we're going to wait until Monday to know, will Labour accept the election or not? Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't get it, Yves, then what?
Well, then Parliament is blocked and Boris Johnson is neutered or, in a way, neutralized. But he's going to do everything possible. He's full of energy and full of, the conviction that he must get his election. And he will, of course, he's proroguing Parliament for a month after next week. But it's an unknown territory, what he would do if he can't get his election.
So much of this is unknown territory. And Johnson has said all along he wouldn't go back to Brussels, but he might have to.
So that's interesting. So that bill that's going to pass on Monday or Tuesday with royal assent, codifies everything he has to do. And it orders him to have a deal, or if the deal is not ready by October 17, then to go to the EU summit and to ask for an extension, which he doesn't want to. Now, what would he do? Would he, for example, call sick and say, oh, sorry, I can't go to the summit, so I can't call for an extension? I'm sure he's considering every option possible. Because if he does nothing, then Brexit happens by default on October 31st. So he might try to do something along those lines.
Well, I think, and this will be my final point with you, I think that's what's so confusing to people is what is Boris Johnson's end game? Is he that committed to leaving the EU that he wants out no matter what, October 31st, come hell or high water?
Yes, but it's not a deep conviction we know from his trajectory. It's more a political conviction. He's a believer in leadership. and he has staked everything about his leadership on this, on Brexit. There's also a political necessity with respect to Nigel Farage and the Brexit party, who can really destroy the Conservative Party if that doesn't happen. So he believes that everything has to, is around this October 31st promise that he made. So I think his game now is to get an election. He may yet get it. We'll know this next week, right? They're going to try again to get the election. But if the election happens, then what we don't know is how well the Liberal Democrats may do, or how much Labour will win, or whether Lib Dems and Labour will divide the votes that's against hard Brexit.
Okay, and we'll know about the election once that no-deal Brexit bill receives royal assent. Yves Tiberghien, thank you so much. Really glad you could be with us this morning.
It's a pleasure.